Welcome to my channel, where the scariest stories come to life. Before we dive into today's chilling tale, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you never miss a story. Now, let's get into the horror. I used to work at Target when I was younger. I worked there for about a year and had to work during Black Friday that year. We actually opened on Thanksgiving night, I believe, at 6 p.m. Just about all of the Target employees were scheduled to work that night. It seemed Target was going to stay open all night and then again the next day. On Friday, we were expecting tons of shoppers, and many deals were going on throughout the store. It was an experience like no other. I usually worked in the store as a sales associate and sometimes as a cashier if they needed me. When I got there, a short time before we opened, I had to park towards the far back corner of the parking lot, and we had a huge parking lot. I had never seen it so full. As I approached the store, I saw a line of at least 100 people waiting to be let inside. Up to that point, I had never gone shopping on Thanksgiving before, only in the early morning on actual Black Friday. I was let in through an employee-only entrance and then clocked into work. I saw many other employees, or team members as we called each other. There was a short meeting beforehand, and then some of the managers went over to unlock the doors. I started out the first hour as a cashier, and when the doors opened, I watched from my checkout lane as people came pouring in. They mostly ran to the electronics area, and soon people were coming to all of the check lanes. We had just about every single check lane open, and I was busy ringing people up for the first couple of hours. I was only working until midnight, so it wasn't that bad of a shift. Because it was a 6-hour shift, I would get a 30-minute break at one point. After 3 hours of being at the check lanes, at 9 p.m., a manager came and told me it was time for my break. I turned off the light to my check lane and then headed past the many people inside to the break room. When I got inside, I sat down at a table and pulled out my phone. I had several texts and Snapchats from friends. One in particular stood out, a text from a number I didn't recognize. I was very good at storing names in my phone for everyone I texted or called, so I knew it wasn't anyone I knew. The text from this unknown person said, "When you're on your break, meet me at the back of the store." I responded by asking who it was, then answered all the other texts and snaps from various friends. Whoever had texted me responded again, telling me to just come to the back of the store. I was really curious, but I had no idea who this was. I had several coworkers' numbers saved in my phone, so it was possible that it was another coworker, but why wouldn't they just tell me? I decided to leave the break room and check out the back of the store to see who it was. However, which part of the back I was supposed to go to wasn't clear. Target is a large store, and the back can refer to quite a bit of space. I made my way through the large crowd of shoppers on the way to the back. Even though I took my name tag off, I was asked by about 5 people where products were or if certain things were still in stock or on sale. At last, I made it to the back of the store. I walked along it but didn't see anyone I knew, and nobody waved at me or approached me. I eventually went back to the break room. Towards the end of my break, the unknown number texted me again. The new text said, "I saw you. It was too busy, and I will catch up with you after work at midnight." I still wasn't sure who this was, and I didn't know how they knew me. When I got off, I texted them again, asking who it was, then returned to work. After going back to work, I was moved to the sales floor from the check lanes. I was able to check my phone a couple of times, but didn't get a response from whoever it was. Soon, I forgot all about it and stayed busy with work for the next few hours. By the time it was almost midnight, things were a little calmer, but still very busy. During that time, I didn't notice anyone strange or looking at me. I helped quite a few customers, but none of them stood out as possibly being the one who had texted me. When it hit 12 o'clock, I was finally done for the night. I walked to the employee hallway and clocked out. Then I left the busy store and walked into the parking lot. There were still lots of cars around. However, the area where I parked was slightly more open now. As I walked through the parking lot to my vehicle, I felt my phone vibrate. I took it out of my pocket and looked. There was a text from the same number. The new text said they were waiting by my car. I was almost halfway there and could barely see my car from where I was. I noticed that directly next to my car was an SUV. As I kept walking closer, I got a better view of it. I could see that the engine of the SUV was running, but I couldn't tell who was inside. I had a bad feeling about it and decided to turn around. Then I went back inside Target. When I got back inside, I went straight to the break room, where a few other people were. I thought about texting my parents to ask one of them to pick me up, but one of my best friends at work, Lexi, was there. I walked over to her and told her what was happening. She said someone had asked her about me earlier. A man had approached her and claimed to be a good friend of mine. He asked her for my number, and she had no reason not to believe him, so she gave it to him. She described him as tall, thin, with a slight beard and shorter, dark-colored hair. From what she said, it didn't sound like anyone I knew. After a few more minutes talking to her, one of the security personnel working that night came into the break room. I told him about my situation and asked him to go out to my car with me. He agreed, and when we left the store, the SUV was still parked next to mine. We walked closer, and when we got within 50 feet of the car, it drove away. I was able to get to my car safely and then carefully drove home, making sure I wasn't followed. There were a lot of other cars around going to Target and nearby stores, so if the guy wanted to follow me, it would have been tough, but he didn't. I was really glad to make it back safe. When I got home, I saw I had another text from him. He called me a curse word, and then I blocked his number. That made for a very memorable Black Friday. That guy must have seen me working earlier in the night and maybe even on previous shifts at Target. He must have gotten my name from my name tag, told Lexi he was my friend, and then got my number from her. It creeps me out to think about it, but luckily, I never saw him again after that. This story took place a long time ago. I was looking to buy a new TV, and when I saw the Black Friday deals at Walmart, I couldn't believe the prices. I decided I was going to go on Black Friday to get a TV. The store was opening early in the morning, around 5 a.m. on Thanksgiving. I didn't bother going to Walmart early to camp out. I had a normal time with my family and then got up super early, around 4 a.m. When I got to Walmart about 30 minutes before they opened, I saw a large line of people waiting. I even noticed someone had a tent. I was a little worried that all the TVs would sell out before I had a chance to get one. I got in the back of what was probably hundreds of people in front of me, and more people lined up behind me as I waited. Eventually, it was time for the store to open. I heard cheering from the crowd, and then the line started to move. At first, things were organized, but soon people began walking faster, creating a kind of traffic jam. I witnessed a few people getting shoved and others passing each other before getting inside the store. I was by myself, just trying to make sure I didn't get run over or run over anyone else. When I finally made it into the store, I headed straight for the electronics department, located in the back middle. Unfortunately, just about everybody else was going in that direction too. I wasn't running to get there, but some people were. I felt that if I could get the TV I wanted, great, but if not, it wasn't that big of a deal. I could get another one sometime soon. It wasn't worth going crazy over. It took longer than expected to reach the electronics department due to the crowd. When I got there, I could not physically get close to the TVs. It was like something out of a movie. People were packed in like sardines, and I saw several employees trying to keep order. I was slowly inching my way closer, maneuvering through the crowd without stepping on anyone's feet. At one point, I saw a kid, maybe 12 or 13, grabbing a box of a gaming system off a shelf. As the kid turned, a man literally grabbed it right out of his hands. I thought it was the kid's father at first, but based on their reactions, I realized it wasn't. The man quickly turned and started walking away, while the kid tried to go after him. I saw the sadness in the boy's eyes and felt horrible. The worst part was that nobody else seemed to notice. It was chaos, making it hard to see everything. They were pretty far away from me, so I decided to see if I could get to the man. He was fleeing, walking as fast as he could away from the boy, who couldn't keep up due to the crowd. Soon, the kid stopped chasing the man and returned to what seemed to be his parents. I looked back and forth between the man and the boy. The boy was with his parents, trying to point out where the man had gone, but they couldn't find him. I saw the man was now farther away. The entire store was busy, but this was the busiest part. I started moving faster through the crowd to try to cut the guy off. He didn't notice me getting closer, and after about a minute, I was within 10 feet of him. I called out, but the store was too loud. I maneuvered around a few people and finally caught up to the man. I tapped his shoulder, but he ignored me. Then I grabbed his shoulder, turning him around. He looked back at me with an angry expression. He appeared to be in his 40s, had dark brown hair, and an average build. I asked him why he took the game from the kid. He claimed he didn't know what I was talking about and hadn't taken anything from a kid. Then he tried to walk away. I knew he was lying, so I stopped him and reached for the gaming console he held. The man was very defensive and pulled it away, then shoved me so hard I almost fell, bumping into 5 other confused people. I quickly got up and ran back to him. He had turned and was trying to walk away quickly, so I started running. I aimed to punch the video game out of his arm like an NFL player trying to force a fumble. It worked, he didn't see me coming. I hit the game, and it flew out of his arms onto the floor. My momentum caused me to bump into him a bit, and we both went forward as the game lay behind us. As we turned to go after it, I saw someone else, a random person, swoop in and pick it up. That person then ran off down another aisle. The guy started to chase him, but whoever it was incredibly fast and disappeared around a corner. The man then turned to me, realizing he couldn't get the game, and started screaming and cursing me out. I yelled back as we were both heated, and this lasted about 30 seconds before a couple of Walmart employees approached us. I told them my side of the story, and the guy gave his version, claiming he simply picked up the last system off the shelf and I tackled him in an attempt to steal it. Just as we were pleading our cases, I saw the boy and his family walking over. I called him over and told the Walmart employee this was the kid who had the game stolen from him. As soon as the kid started walking over, the other guy turned and left. A Walmart employee yelled for him to come back, but he was already too far gone. The employees quickly realized I was right after a brief discussion, but it didn't mean much anymore. The gaming system was gone, and so was the man who took it from the kid. The bottom line was the kid didn't get it. However, it did make me feel slightly better to know the man didn't get it either. I talked with the boy and his parents for a bit, and they were grateful for my help. They said their son had saved up his allowance and mowed lawns all summer to buy the game. They had also waited in line for almost 5 hours. It was a sad situation, but the kid seemed to take it well and would probably be able to get it in a couple of weeks. After we talked, I walked away and headed back over to the electronics department. I had gotten so involved that I had basically forgotten why I went there in the first place. I slowly made my way over to the TVs. With the crowd still large, it was actually possible to walk now, and it had lightened up just a little bit. When I got to the TVs, I couldn't believe it, but they still had a couple of the ones I wanted. I picked one up and headed to the checkout. It probably took another 30 minutes, but eventually, I paid for my TV and left the store. When I got out into the parking lot, it was very busy too. People were constantly walking in and out, and there were cars everywhere. I had parked pretty far back, and when I finally got to my vehicle, I opened the back door to put my TV in. That was when I heard the sound of a car driving fast, faster than it should in a parking lot. I looked and saw a gray sedan speeding toward me. I finished putting my TV in the car and closed the door. The car slammed on its brakes and stopped right behind my vehicle. I looked and saw the man I had fought with earlier. I quickly ran to my driver's door and opened it. As I did this, I heard the man's car door opening. I got inside as fast as I could and locked my doors. Just seconds later, the man arrived at my window, pounding on it and trying to open my driver's door while yelling and cursing at me. I ignored him, put my car into drive, and pulled out. Luckily, nobody was parked in front of me. The man started running back to his car, but I got out of there quickly, and the crowded parking lot made it impossible for him to follow me. I drove back home and never saw the guy again. Looking back at that experience, I don't regret what I did. I'm glad I tried to help the kid, even though I'm sad he didn't get his game. The man was just really greedy, but Black Friday shopping can get crazy like that. I've gone Black Friday shopping a few times since then, but never had an experience quite like that. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give the video a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a terrifying tale. See you in the next one.